cool cats and kittens out there. I have a feeling that as we find ourselves in the midst of week 3 of the COVID crisis, that many of us are getting a little tired of this new reality. We are ready to go out again. We're ready to take our kids back to our child care programs that we have them a part of. The feeling of being trapped and stuck for many of us is real. At the same time, as we watch the news, we continue to hear reports about how the crisis we find ourselves in will not be short-lived. For those of us tired with the circumstances, we start to think to ourselves, how long are we going to be here? Here's the hard news. It looks like we're going to be stuck in this situation for quite a while longer. I know this doesn't bring a lot of hope and this is hard, and yet this is also the story that God has given us throughout history. God's people are often people that find themselves in pretty hopeless situations. As the people of Judah made their way to Babylon, some looked to the prophet Jeremiah for a word of hope. They looked to him to tell them that they wouldn't be stuck in Babylon long and that surely God would save them. Here is how Jeremiah replies. This is what the eternal commander of heavenly armies and God of Israel says to those he exiled from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses, make homes for your families, because you are not coming back to Judah anytime soon. Plant gardens and eat food you grow there. Marry and have children. Find wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage so that they can have children. During these years of captivity, let your families grow and not die out. Pursue the peace and welfare of the city where I sent you into exile. Pray to me, the Eternal, for Babylon, because if it has peace, you also will live in peace. This is what the eternal commander of heavenly armies of God and God of Israel says. Do not be fooled by the false prophets and fortune tellers among you. Do not listen to dreamers or their interpretations of dreams, for I did not send them to you. They are prophesying lies in my name, so says the Eternal. If you want the truth, this is what the Eternal has to say. You will remain in Babylon for 70 years. Jeremiah seems to offer no hope of any sort of quick fix back to Jerusalem by Passover solution. He knows that the people of Judea have found themselves in a bind, and yet he also points to how even in exile and in a hopeless time, God's blessings still live. The time in Babylon wasn't meant to only be a time of pain and suffering. In the midst of it, God was going to be with the people, and the people would be able to live and even to flourish. Jeremiah tells them to settle down, to have families, to turn back to God, and that at the end of what appeared to be an interminable 70 years, God would return the people home. Jeremiah continues this promise by saying, when that 70 years is over, I will come to you, and I will keep my promise of bringing you home. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Eternal. Plans for peace, not evil, to give you a future of hope. Never forget that. At that time, you will call out for me, and I will hear. You will pray, and I will listen. You will look for me intently, and you will find me, yes. I will be found by you, says the Eternal, and I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all the nations where you've been scattered, all the places where I have driven you. I will bring you back to the land that is your rightful home. In a time like the one we live in, it can be difficult to hold on to hope, and yet all those years ago, when Judah gets carted off to Babylon, Jeremiah tells the captives to do this very thing. He doesn't ignore the reality, but instead points to the fact that in all circumstances, God will still be with us. Even in the midst of intense suffering, God's love does not cease. In the past weeks, I myself have wondered how to display what hope looks like in such a difficult time. It almost seems inappropriate in a time like the one we find ourselves in to tell people to be hopeful, while suffering, scarcity, and the unknown lurks around every corner. And yet, in the words of C.S. Lewis, hope is one of the theological virtues. This means that a continual looking forward to the eternal world is not, as some modern people think, a form of escapism or wishful thinking, but one of the things a Christian is meant to do. It does not mean that we are to leave the present world as it is. If you read history, you'll find that the Christians who did the most for the present world were those who thought the most of the next. We are called to hold on to hope against our better judgment because we have a God that both promises us a better future and stands with us through the current storm, helping us to see what is coming beyond the horizon. I hope that as we continue to live into this unique moment, that we would do so with hope and assurance that this does have an end, and that even in it, God is somehow at work for us, with us, and standing by us. Let's pray. God, we thank you for the way that you continue to be with us, for the way you continue to watch over us even in difficult times such as the one we are in. God, help us to see the way that you are at work, and also help us to truly see the way that you will be at work. For you do have plans for us, plans for good. Thank you.